Hello and welcome. Today at PowerCheck Repair, we got a USB-C connector. The laptop is Dell Latitude 7370. The problem is those jacks right here, the ones I'm gonna show you in a second here. Hold on. We are at PowerCheck Repair. We replaced jacks at $100 total. We got the motherboard from a repair center, and we already took the old DC jack from the motherboard. There are two jacks, USB jacks, one right here and one right there. The problem with this particular laptop is the jack breaks right on the plastic there inside. The plastic itself on the inside breaks, and it can't conduct electricity. The laptop is really expensive. This is year 2019. We got more than 1,000 different videos of how to repair different types of jacks. But this is the first USB-C port that we attempt to repair because the client really needs this laptop because of the accounting firm. Usually we just turn them down because we don't have the replacement jacks for this particular model yet. But if you check online and see if you have a replacement jack for this model for sale, then we can probably replace it. It took me about half a day to remove the jack properly. The jack removal was no big deal, but cleaning those little tiny holes right there, those little tiny holes, clean them up from solder, it takes half a day. Again, it's micro soldering here, and we do soldering all day, every day for the last 20-something years. But we prefer not to spend time on micro soldering because it's just time-consuming process. And in this particular case, what we did was that we removed this jack right here, this jack from this motherboard, and exactly the same jack is not available yet on the aftermarket, but we were able to remove it, we were able to preserve it. And the worst case, we can always shove it back in, so it would sometimes work, sometimes won't. But we found this jack right here online. It has exactly the same pin layout in the back. The problem is those pins are kind of shorter right there, and it has the row of two rows of pins right here, two rows right here and one in the back. And again, two rows of pins here and one in the back. Let me show you a little bit more close up. By the way, we have to show you, if the video is useful, please send us a like. But the thing is, if you want to donate money so that we could have HDMI HDMI receiver for our how do you call it, hold on one second, I'll show you the two USB ports side by side here. Basically, without the scope, you're not going to be able to do anything here when it comes to USB-Cs. Without the microscope, it's called microscope, sorry. All right, so here, let's focus. Let's shut down the light so you can see everything better. All right, so what you're seeing, let me get something more precise to work with here. Hold on. All right, so what you see, I have to look at the screen to share the screen with you. I wish I could just hook it up directly into the computer and stream it that way, but the HDMI converter costs tons of money at this time, so okay. All right, so what you see here, those two back rows right here. This row has much longer pins. That's the old jack, that's the new jack. So it would be much easier to solder this. If you would have this exact jack, it would be much more easier to solder it into this motherboard. But the amount of pins is the same right there. And the second row right here and these guys identical. So, and the third row right here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins here, and again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins right there. So we were able to match the pin layout, but we were unable to match the layout of how it hooks to the motherboard. You see, this is the sides of the new jack, and this is the sides of the old jack. They are not compatible on the sides. So what we're gonna do is we bent those clips a little bit right here. And once the clips are bent, we would be able just to connect the rear pins. We would connect the rear pins first. And what we would do next is we would just do the sides, basically solder from the top to whatever locations we can on the sides, and then glue everything in the back and on the top, so that the new jack would stay in place. Now, the problem here is the biggest problem is to let's see, where is that? The biggest problem is alright, so hopefully you can see. The biggest problem is to make sure that every single hole right here is empty. You see, it's see-through, everything is see-through. That takes about half a day to go through under the microscope. I mean, the more we're gonna get those done, the faster the things will be. But again, if you would have exactly the same replacement jack, it would be a piece of cake. But since nobody has the replacement jack in stock anywhere yet, we have to improvise the best we can. So what we're gonna do now, once you desolder the old jack, once you cleaned up every single hole right here, what you wanna do is you wanna plug in that new jack in there and make sure it fits there snug. And then what I want to do is probably add a little bit solder right here, right here on the side, and right there on the side, and then solder the bottom, and only then solder the back, because it would be nice and stable. So yeah, another modifications that has to be done. In order to solder the back properly, we had to remove that metal piece right here. That you can see clearly on this part right here. Right there, you see that metal bracket in the back. Again, since if we would have exactly the same replacement jack someplace for sale, we would not have to deal with. I mean, it would be much faster process to get things done. But since there is no replacement jack out there, that's what we have to improvise with. Again, feel free to email us if you watching this video maybe 3-4 months from April 2019. April 19, 2019. If you're watching this video in about June, July, you can email us and see if you got the parts for this new jack, for this motherboard, because this is not the first motherboard we receive here, and we have to decline all of them because we couldn't find compatible jack. This jack is not even from HP. This is from Google Pixel phone charger, from the basically Google Pixel phone jack. So that's what we have to work with. And yeah, so let me show you how this is gonna plug in there first. Let's see. So this is all tons of flux right now, and I want to add more flux right here so that everything would be nicely penetrated through. So yeah, let me put the gloves on. Again, guys, I wish I could make this video better if only I would have HDMI out here. Feel free to donate $1 or $2 if this video is helpful. I would spend a couple $100 on that HDMI to USB conversion so that I could record the video directly from the microscope into your into the output. So here, what we want to do is basically the gloves are sticky from the flux. So what we want to do, I need more light. Hold on. Should down the light here. So what we want to do, let me get this thing. Let me get new gloves, because these gloves are not. Just everything sticks. So the goal, again, if you do it at home, if you have really good eyesight, I mean, I've been soldering all my life, so my eyesight is not good anymore, and without the microscope I can't really do anything here. But if you like 20-25, you should be okay trying to get. Okay, so here let's guide this like that. So what I'm looking for is to make sure that the pins in the back align, and I need to make sure that it's gonna go through the motherboard. I want to push everything through. No. Okay, so it seems like everything's pushed. Okay, let's refer to the screen right here. All right, so you see how the jack aligned with the rear pins right there. So we want to make sure there is more pressure on the back than the front. And nothing is skewed. So here we got this, and here you see how every single hole has the pin going through, and that's the way I want it to be. So the goal is for the rear pins to stay down on the pads right there, and the goal is for those pins to have a connection through it. So I'm good to solder right now, and I'm probably gonna solder the so let's see how I want it to be done. Okay, let's see. So the point here is to make sure the pads are sitting properly. They shouldn't be lifting. So the jack has to be extremely horizontal, just like that. The C jack has to be extremely horizontal to the padding. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna add a little bit solder right here on the sides, on the side right there, and on the side right there, to support it in the horizontal state. Once it's being supported in the horizontal state, I can pretty much work with the rear to make sure that the pins are not up in the air, and make sure the pins are sitting there. Okay. Alright, so like that, right? So, oh shoot, no, it fell off. Alright, so what I want to do, I want to bend down. No, actually it's already nice and straight. So here, let me guide this guy a little bit higher. Okay. Let me guide Just spin a little bit lower. Let me guide. Again, I want everything to be as horizontal as possible. Okay, like that. And I want the front to be slightly lower so that the rear I mean, we can solder mini USB port, no big deal. But this is just insane. It's not insane, it's just nobody pays us enough to do that kind of work. Okay, so I'm thinking we're all good. Let's try and put this guy back in there properly, not to damage any of the shit. Again, everything sticks to the gloves because the gloves have oh no, what's all right, so it did go through. Okay. Right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just put some Kapton tape on top of this jack because I don't want it to go haywire while I'm trying to solder the. Okay, so are you in or are you not in? Yeah, okay, that's in. Okay, good. So, yeah. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some Kapton tape on top to make sure this guy won't be going anywhere. Alright? Alright, good job. Alright. Good. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit more solder right here. Alright, so the jack is stable now, okay? I'm gonna add a little bit more solder. Come on. I'm gonna add a little bit more solder right here and right there. So basically on this side and on that side. Once this solder is added, I would be able to solder the pins on the bottom, and then I would be able to solder the rear pins, and then I could solder the rear pins like right there. Okay, so let's try and do so right now. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look right here how well are the soldering skills on the rear pins. Because without the microscope I can't really see. Yeah, it's all good. So you see every single, let me shut down the lights here. So those are the rear row of pins, and you see every single one of those got penetrated. The one right here, one right here, that's the plastic piece, that's a plastic guide right here. Now, that's another plastic guide. Oh, not this one here, hold on, this one. So once those two plastic guides are in, that means all of those pins are all good. So the pins are good now. Now, the part is that's gonna be a bit more difficult is the rear pins right there. So what we want to do is we want to remove the Kapton tape first. And soldering the rear pins, it could only be done under the here. You see how I was able to put every single pad on top of the every single leg on top of the pad. So now I just have to carefully solder each leg to the pad, and I have to do it through the magnifying glass, through the scope, because there's really, I mean, otherwise it's not gonna really work. So yeah, but you see the point. Basically, you see some solder right here on the front, some solder right here, and then we get solder right there. I mean, on the bottom pins, and now we have to do the rear row. So let me move the scope into the soldering chamber. Alrighty. Alright, so I think you can see everything like that. And again, donation for the HDMI to USB would be really appreciated. Or if you could send one of those HDMI to USB to us that work well, you know, send it in. And it's better if it's not just a dongle. It's better if it's just inside of the card. Thank you. Okay. So what we're gonna do first is add a whole bunch of plugs. Okay. Now let's try and go through each pad. And the problem is All right, I'm not sure if you can see that, but there is a all right. You see how well each leg is soldered to the pad. Now let me clean it up a little bit with the alcohol. All right, so the only thing I need to do is solder right here and right there. All right. So moment of truth is here. So that's the way how the old jack looks like. That's the new one that we were able to solder in there. And you've seen that the rear of the jack is fine, right there. The solder in the rear is fine. The solder in the front is fine too. I think we got some extra tape here for some reason. Not sure if it's part of my tape or not my tape. Alright, so now I want to see if this is gonna work. And the way to see if it's gonna work is plug in the power supply. Alright, so because maybe the layout is the same, but but the pluses or minuses are different. So let's see. Let's see. It's probably the first, could be the first successful USB-C port replacement on HP Latitude 7000 series. Could be. 3 to 1. The good thing is that this green light, or not the green light, the white light, sorry, my glasses are changing the shade. So the good thing that this light didn't go out. So that's a good thing. Let's see. Yes, 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 here. Wanted to show you. That's a big breakthrough because now we can officially start working on USB-C. Again, this is the first USB-C we work on here. That's basically a minus. This is just any component right here. That's 5 volts. That's 20 volts right there. So 20 volts going to the motherboard. You see? On which particular leg the voltage are coming through, I don't know. Let's see which. Okay, so this is the leg right here which you want to be concerned about. This is your 20 volts right here. And outside is the negative, right? So that's 20 volts. And that's 20 volts right there. So this guy, oops, shit. So this guy and that guy are 20 volts. The rest of them I'm not sure about. So again, for that HP, what you need is this leg and that leg. You see, those two legs. Everything else is probably 5 volts and other stuff for charging whatever else you need to charge. So here we might wanna try and see. I need a microscope to get in there and see what's what. So let me get the microscope. Microscope. Hold on. All right. So yeah, let's put the glove under the. Let's put two gloves. All right, so you can see the layout right here. All right, and let's try and see which one of those components is extremely necessary, which one of those solder points are necessary, and which ones are not that necessary. So let's see. You know what? I really need I really need to see what you see, because I can't. I can't just look down. All right, so that's a minus. Okay. Shit, the pins are too close. I don't want to show the motherboard. Let's see. Let's try this guy. Right here. What does it give us? This doesn't give us anything. How about this guy? Nothing. Well, you know what? While it's under power, I don't want to short out this expensive motherboard. So I just gonna let it be the way it is. I'll disconnect the. Okay. We'll disconnect this whole assembly. Let's move this to the side. Let's connect it one more time. Okay. Let's double check that it's still working. Yeah, it's still working. And that's that. I don't want to touch this thing anymore. I don't want to be the reason why this thing not gonna work ever again. So yeah, let's disconnect. Let's disconnect this guy right there. And for the second port is also damaged. But each one of those, the one we purchased right now, this guy, this run us at $15 in April. So in April it's $15 of 2019. I'm not sure how much it's gonna be. Again, we waited for about a week for this jack to arrive here. So we're not gonna be waiting for anything to arrive here in regards to this jack. What I'm gonna do is just gonna run some hot air on the bottom right here to rework the components on the bottom, and basically add a little bit more solder right there, and hopefully this jack might or might not work in the future. So in order for me to do so, let's but yeah, guys, again, leave a thumbs up, because this is I'm not sure if anybody else, I'm sure some other people try to do a hack job on this particular jack, but without the right part. So I don't want to damage what I just did right here. So I just do everything in a whole bunch of layers of custom tape. Don't want to damage the jack that I just installed. I want to do some yeah. So I'm just gonna run the back like that. Um, like that. So the Kapton tape prevents the nearby components from being messed up. And what I'm gonna do, I'm probably gonna do the rear track as well. But I think it's only the bottom one that's necessary here. But just in case, so here let's do. Again, without the scope, this is mission impossible for me because I can see that well. Don't want to mess things up. For you, it might be possible. For me, it's not possible. I need a really good site. And spending all my life in front of the computer. This has not been that well for me. Didn't work out that well for me. So alright, so let me run through the rear pins right here and resolder everything in the back. Okay. All right, so let's see if the second piece, let me inspect it first under the microscope, make sure that I didn't damage any, make sure that there is no Alright, I just want to make sure that there is nothing. Not wrong one, hold on here. You see, so I reflowed the rear connections on that jack. Let's see from the top side. I want to make sure that nothing is shorting. Here we got a whole bunch of wind from Q-tips. Which is nothing to be worried about. So I reflowed the back, and you see it's the same connection as here. Alright, so okay. So let's try and plug in the power supply from the power supply, and the power supply from the power supply into the jack. Alright, so we still get the light. We still get the light, and let's see if we're gonna get the 20 volts on the no, we're not getting anything. Well, no, I mean, we do get the connection 20 volts right here, but it doesn't go anywhere. Hmm. That's extremely strange because nope, it doesn't go anywhere. That 20 volts I was getting here. Yep, we do get 20 volts here, but so this second jack right here doesn't really do anything in terms of powering the system up. That's my guess. So let's see one more time. Let's let's clean this guy because it's all in alcohol. All right. So, anyways, so that's it. This jack is not really a power jack. This one is the power jack. The one that's the last one. It should power everything up. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, feel free to subscribe, and send us donation for a normal HDMI to USB connection so that we could show you much better to the point connections, how we solder everything. Thank you. You guys have a good day. Bye.